Hi, I'm Troy Bailey and welcome to the Comic Book Movie Collector's Guide, the show about collecting all things superhero cinema. And today we're looking at Guardians. Let's get into it. Guardians is a live-action superhero film with a runtime of 89 minutes. The film was only released into Russian theatres on the 23rd of February 2017, and then later on released on DVD and Blu-ray on the 21st of August 2017. With the film being in Russian, it was also released as an English dub on DVD and Blu-ray by Shout Factory on the 5th of December 2017, with no 4K release as yet to be announced. It was directed by Sarik Andreasyan and was produced by Andrei Gavrilov, with the film being produced by Enjoy Movies, Argunov Studio and Renovatio, and distributed by Turbo Films. Initially a sequel was planned, in which it was supposed to add another superhero from China and be partially shot in China to crack the Chinese market, but with the commercial failure of the first film, the sequel was cancelled. But the director said in an interview that Deadpool 2 was to blame for the Guardians 2 never coming out, but not clarifying the reason behind his comments. The film tells the story of a team of Soviet superheroes created during the Cold War, brought back together by a secret organization known as Patriot, to stop the supervillain Professor Kuratov, as he intends to seize control of all of the world's technology by transmitting a signal through every satellite orbiting Earth. Okay, the disc in case. Now, as we have here, I have the Blu-ray edition. Now, this is pretty much the stock standard cover across the board. Up here, there is one other cover, which I think has, it's like the back cover here, has old mate here who turns into the bear, but it has them as two separate characters. Kind of misleading, making you think there's 5 characters in the group when there's actually only 4. But yeah, not a bad looking cover for what it is. I think they've done really well. Now for the spine, pretty stock standard spine, nothing special there. And of course the back cover there doesn't look too bad at all. Now for the disc, yeah, pretty stock standard disc, nothing special, no graphics, no nothing. Overall, I don't mind the graphics of the photos they've used. And yeah, it doesn't look too bad at all. So I would probably give this a 7 out of 10. So the script and story. So the story, to be honest, was not good. Look, I don't want to bag it out too much, but I will say they have had a crack, which is good, but they came up way short. The best way to describe this story was probably weak and vague at best. The script, well, it was almost kind of like the writer said, you know, what are my favourite parts from every comic book movie that I've ever seen? And I'll just jam it into this movie. That'll work, right? Wrong. The movie was so rushed, with very little explained, little backstory, with little to no motivation for the characters. It just seemed like he tried to put every superhero and comic book trope you could find in this film, and it just felt like you've already watched this movie 1,000 times with no surprises. Like after the first 20 minutes of the movie, I'd pretty much worked out what was going to happen in the rest of the film, and I'll tell you what, I pretty much got 90% of it right. But with the final fight scene, which probably should have been a real high point of the movie, being probably one of the biggest letdowns. In the end, it was just too many ideas, not enough time, poorly executed. So unfortunately with that, I give it a 7 out of 30. From page to screen. So this film is not based off a comic book of the same name, but as I said before, it was taken from so many comic book ideas that at one part they even pay homage, and I use that word loosely, to the scene where they mimic Bane breaking Batman's back. Though there were some comic books associated to this movie, the first being Guardians Book 1, a prequel comic that was freely distributed at Comic-Con Russia in 2016 as a promotion to the film, and another prequel comic which was later published titled Guardians, a comic of the new superhero universe, both of which were not liked by the critics who, and I quote, found the story and dialogue and especially the artwork to be subpar. Ooh, geez, that's not good. Subpar. But as far as the actors go, well, there was no stellar performances here, but the script didn't help them either. I'll have it up, running up here, the names, because I'm not going to even attempt to butcher those names. As far as the costumes go, the look of the movie had some promise there, and I love the half bear, half man with the minigun. I mean, come on, you can't tell me you didn't think that was pretty cool when you saw it as well. But the main villain, his prosthetic muscle suit was terrible. I've seen better cosplays out there. And some of the special effects were cheap as well. So with all of that though, look, I could only really give this 6 out of 20. Special features. Well, this is going to be a quick segment because there ain't none. This is just the movie. That is it. Nothing else. I don't think they had high expectations for this film anyway, so hence no special features. Not even the trailer, for crying out loud. At least throw something on there. I don't know. You got to have something else. But anyway, for that, no special features, which of course leads me to give it 0 out of 10. The critics' review. Now, the critic score came in at 33% and the audience score at 25%. Wow, that's a real surprise, because I would have thought the critics would have tore this thing a new one, and the audience was probably be a bit more forgiving, but this score is fair as the comments across the board were very similar. Though I did see one guy on YouTube criticise the movie about the group's superpowers being rip-offs of DC and Marvel properties, but please, like, if you're going to go down that path, everyone can have a crack at everyone else about ripping off their ideas. When it comes to the superpowers, there's more than enough to criticise this movie for, that you don't need to be a lazy reviewer and go down that path, okay? Rant over, right here. So overall, if we round it all up, we get a whopping score of 3 out of 10. My review. Now, look, I really admire what they were trying to accomplish with this movie, but I was disappointed in their execution. It had some great ideas, but they tried to be more than it could be in the 89 minutes that they had. And with that, that's what let this film down. It was just mostly time. It went way too fast. Too many things were either brushed over or not even acknowledged, and no time for character development to even get you slightly invested. You know, with a weak plot and even weaker script, this is where this movie really fell down, because you can sometimes look past the average acting or the bad CGI, but if the story and script is not up to scratch, you haven't got a strong base to build from, and just the rest of it just falls apart around it. So with that, I can only give it a score of 5 out of 20. So, final thoughts. So first up, we'll look at the collectability scale, and if you look at that, I would only put this at your completest collector, like myself, as this is something you would watch once just to say you've seen it, but there's no way you're going to go out and buy yourself a copy unless you're a serious collector and you want everything like I do. Now, as far as availability goes, this one is more on the rare side of things. At least it is here in Australia. It may be a little more common across America and the European countries, but as far as your average price goes, you're looking at anywhere between $25 to $35 on DVD, and on Blu-ray $30 to $40, and of course there is no 4K HD. Now, the final score, as we tally it all up, we get a grand total of 28 out of 100. Not a great score at all. It had little promise, but so many shortcomings in its creation that led to its downfall. It's definitely one to check out, to say you saw it, but probably not one I would go out and buy anytime soon, or at all for that matter of fact. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, why not hit the like, subscribe and notification buttons, as it really helps the channel out and I really do appreciate it. I really do. Also, let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this movie and if you picked up a copy for your collection. Please tell me you didn't. Now, you can also contact me via email at thecomicbookmoviecollector@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on the socials at comicbookmoviecollector on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. All the links will be down below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.